Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Carpe Diem Living the Podcast. I am your host, Shane Gitmed, and today we have someone by the name of Dani, and I'm just so excited for her to be on the show. I mean, I'm like that with every guest, but seriously, this is like really going to be really fun because she's going to talk about her journey and her ebook that's coming out soon. So I can't wait to learn all about that and just hearing about her recipes and creations with food. So Dani, tell us about you and, you know, all the things that you do within the holistic side of things.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Super excited to be here to talk a little bit about myself and get to know you. I am a food blogger, blogger in general. I've always kind of dabbled in the food blogging since I started back in 2011, actually, with my first food blog. I was under a different name at the time, but I've been food blogging for quite some time now. Just recently, I've been sort of kind of dabbling in with the lifestyle blogging as well. So I'm a blogger, I'm a recipe creator, I'm a wellness and health enthusiast, and I'm also a mother and a wife. And I live in the Los Angeles area in California.
Nice. And food blogging, oh my gosh, it's so funny because everyone thinks that it's just, oh, you just post pictures of food and that's it. But boy, do they not know like how much work goes into food blogging. Am I right?
Yes. Oh my God. When I started, it was super casual, very just kind of hobby-like. I feel like any food blogger kind of starts with the intention of just having it be fun and casual. And yeah, I would just like, make dinner, take a picture, post it, try to remember the recipe, and then I'd call it a day. But recently, over the last couple of years, and more so this year, actually, I've been just kind of getting more and more serious about my blog and, just really learning from, others as well. How do I kind of turn this hobby, this passion project into a business? How do I treat it like a real full-on job? And that's kind of when things turned for me. And I'm like, holy moly, like it is a lot of work. It's the planning of the recipes, making sure that I'm, cooking enough times during the week, cooking at the right time of day so I can take good pictures. I live in an apartment and I don't really get the best lighting in my kitchen. So what I'll do is I'll just like make the recipe and then I take everything to my bedroom because I have like a big bay window. And I'll just take pictures like by my window, have like all my props and things like that, like backdrops and things like that. And then like the editing process, I have a whiteboard in the kitchen where I write down like, because the way that I kind of cook, I just kind of make things up on the spot. I have like an idea in my head. And I think, okay, I'm going to make this. What do I have? And then I just kind of go for it. That's why I like to, I like to call myself like a creator because I'm a very spontaneous creator at the same time.
Yes.
So, I'm writing down the recipes on this whiteboard as I'm cooking. And then I go in my room, take the pictures, and then I go through the editing process and then putting it on, the blog, putting it on the social media. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah. First of all, I love your process because it's so, you're improvising. I think the best part about being so creative is you're going with the flow and you're not obviously overly rigid, like, oh, I have to follow this to a T. And you're just kind of seeing like what your gut feels like doing, so that's really cool. I love that, your approach to that. So I'm curious, especially when it comes to your ebook, how long did it take for you to think, or like, how long did it take for you to create, the different recipes in there? Like, was it like a year-long project?
No, it's been a couple of months. I'm only doing 15 recipes in this ebook. This is like my very first like official ebook that I'm doing. It's a Mexican inspired recipe book. I have 15 recipes in there. They're all gluten-free and dairy-free. And I just sort of first started with like coming up with what recipes I wanted to make. So I just kind of made the list of 15 recipes. And I think I want to say that I started last month, the beginning of last month. And so, that's 60 days. And that my book launches on September 30th.
Yeah.
So that's, 60 days, plenty of time to do 15 recipes.
Yeah.
But it does take time, so I just kind of had the idea of what I wanted to do. And at first I was very casual about it. I would just kind of pick a day and be like, oh, okay, today I'm going to make this recipe. Oh, today I'm going to do this recipe. But as the kind of time got closer and closer to launch date, I've actually been planning, which for my next ebook, I'm probably going to do it this way because it's just much more organized and it's just way more efficient. But I pretty much scheduled what recipes I was going to make on what day. So for the past few weeks, since it's been crunch time, I'll just be like, okay, Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to make this recipe and this recipe. And then lately I've been putting in 3 recipes a week. And now I'm 5 days away from launch, 6 days away from launch, and I only have 2 recipes left to do. Awesome. So first it started very easygoing, and then just recently I started just kind of scheduling the recipes on certain days, and that's probably how I'm gonna continue to do it from now on, because it's just way more efficient. You get things done. It's less stressful. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
It's all a learning process.
Right. And I love that you're doing all of it. You're doing, of course, the actual planning, the project management aspect. Of course, you're doing the cooking and all of that. And then you're also making sure, you're taking your own photos. You're literally self-publishing this book. And
pretty much.
Yeah. And again, people don't realize how much work it takes to do all of that. So that's really cool that you're into food blogging. That's what's, started all of this. Were you ever a Yelp elite? I'm curious.
No. And I've seen people I see it. I'm like, Yelp elite, what? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
What is this? Cause I don't do,
Yelp reviews?
Not Yelp reviews, but I've done restaurant reviews on my blog.
Yeah.
But I've seen other food bloggers and influencers, tag or list that they're Yelp elites, and I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, because I became a Yelp elite last year. Basically what that is, so I didn't want to go full-blown food blogger. I mean, you foodie, how people call that. But I was like, that'd be kind of fun, just to give yourself just another reason to, try new places. Because even though I've never really got fully into the posting aspect of it, I would just do it on my own personal page, and people just do it on their Instagram, Facebook. But I've always really enjoyed, calling myself I feel like a foodie, because I love trying different places every week and then posting a review on their page. So basically what happens is when you post your review on their Yelp page, over time, Yelp sees okay, you're a frequent reviewer. And then once you've reviewed a certain amount of places, we don't really know what the set number is, but once they deem you as okay, you're experienced, then you get the title of Yelp Elite. And so when you become a Yelp Elite, you get invited to exclusive events. Well, not now, but before, you can get invited to exclusive events for restaurants, bars, or, an activity. Yeah. So I was thinking since you already had all that on your page, you could just translate that into Yelp over time, and then you'll eventually get your Yelp elite status because you already done.
Oh my God, I've been missing out. There's one thing. Oh my God, there's one thing that I love more than cooking and eating the food that I cook. I love going out to eat. Yes. I love going to restaurants. I live about 45 minutes out of the city.
Yeah.
And my sister lives in the city, so I go out there all the time, and I'm always looking for new places to go.
Yeah.
And I love finding all the new trendy spots, the little hole in the wall places.
Yes.
I'm for sure going to check that out. I would absolutely love to become a Yelp elite. That would be legit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then it's just cool because then you just get insider information, and say it's a restaurant you've always wanted to try, but you never had the chance. And then a Yelp elite event is being thrown and you get invited, you get to dine with an exclusive menu, only the Yelp elite group, and it's just all catered for free. Everything is free.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And all you have to do is post your review. That's it. Yeah. So
okay, I'm doing that. As soon as we're done recording, I'm going to make an account, and I'll probably because I've recently gone to a few places, so I'll probably like go back and maybe like write some reviews and get that going. Oh my God.
Absolutely. And you're in the
just made
perfect
my day.
location. Okay. No, yeah. I mean, especially with COVID, like people are still doing takeout and everything. So you could still review their stuff, you know, like it's,
absolutely.
So I know it helps, you know, all the small businesses out right now too, like, because it helps them, you know, their pages being shown to more people. That's just how the algorithm works, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so totally get on that later.
Awesome. And there's a lot of restaurants in LA that are doing really good with like COVID restrictions and things like that.
Good, yeah.
And I always try to pick the places that have like outdoor like patios, because it's usually like a lot bigger, things are a little bit more spread out, it's a little bit more comfortable. But I've gone out a few times during the quarantine or during the pandemic, and I try to limit the amount of times that I go out, but I have gone out a few times and it's always been very comfortable. The waiters are always like very geared up with the mask, and they have like the face shields. Everyone's wearing gloves, everyone's wearing masks as they come in. So they definitely follow protocol, which is really comforting.
Yeah, no, same. Like all the places I've gone to, even before, you know, when I was in San Jose, all the places there like followed the same thing. Whether you went to Palo Alto or you were just, you know, in Santa Clara, everyone was like to a T with like regulations. So that's why I always felt comfortable the few times I did go, because I know that they're not, you know, slacking on that aspect. So, you know, it's like, you know, COVID's been going on for a while now. And if you are really itching to go somewhere, it's like, you know, just once in a while, as long as you follow the regulations, it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So I'm sure your son loves how much you cook, right? Like, because
he does.
Be picky, because you never know with kids.
Right. He may only, he's 3 years old, but he is oh, yay. Awesome. When's his birthday?
Dylan's birthday is in June.
June, same. June what?
23rd.
Okay, 2nd. Okay.
I was gonna say, if they had the same birthday, that would have been so crazy.
Oh my gosh, my son's name's Liam. Yeah, he's June 2nd. But yeah, he is an eater. This kid eats so much food, and like the one thing that I was so laser focused on when I was pregnant was that I wanted, because I grew up in a household that we ate everything. My husband eats everything. And I know that with kids, it's very, you know,
hard.
It's hard to get them to eat a lot of things, you know, and I get it. They're kids. Like, you know, I've tried so many times to have him eat Brussels sprouts, and he will not eat Brussels sprouts. I get it. I didn't like Brussels sprouts until I was like in my early 20s, so it's fine. But
I've never had a Brussels sprout to this day. So
girl, I'm gonna send you a really good Brussels sprout recipe, and you're gonna love it.
Please do, because you know what? That's what it is. It's like I look at it in the store and I'm like, but if I see a good recipe, because I told myself this, and even the other day I was like, okay, I'm gonna have Dani on the show. She's gonna have her cookbook. I must try these recipes, and maybe it'll help me like expand my palate. So that's what I was kind of hoping for after this.
Definitely. I have my toddler taste test everything that I make. And so he eats everything that I make, and I always ask him, like, you know, do you like mommy's food, or did you like this, did you like that? And he goes for it. Sometimes he's not into it, but you know, for the most part he eats pretty much anything that I make, which makes me feel so good, because I know that he's eating healthy, he's eating homemade, he's expanding his, you know, his taste buds. And I know that, okay, if this 3-year-old, you know, likes it and eats it, I'm sure other kids are willing to eat it too. So I always, you know, say that my food is kid friendly, because my kid loves it.
And that's, you know, for any parent, that is a huge plus, because we're always, I know me and a lot of other moms that I know, like getting our kids to eat has just been like, not only is it like stressful, because you're just like, oh, what are they going to eat? You know? And I feel so bad when all he wants to eat are certain things, but I'm like, but if that's what he wants, like, what am I supposed to do? So one trick I did just for myself, because I was like, I'm a very, you know, I don't want to stress about it. So there's like these toddler pouches that have like fruits and veggies. And I'm like, okay, if nothing else, if he won't eat the actual food in front of him, if it's in even a pouch form, fine. like I'll take that over nothing at all. You know what I mean? Like this
Exactly.
kid can't
Yeah.
survive on pasta alone. Like that's insane. So
Right. You just got to do what you got to do. What I
right.
found to be really helpful is getting them involved in the kitchen has really helped, like having him help me. He always goes grocery shopping with me.
Aw.
And so I have him, help me pick the produce and not so much anymore, with everything.
Right.
But getting him involved with the grocery shopping, getting him involved in the kitchen, having me help me. Whenever like I'm cooking, I have him taste test with me as I'm making things, and I ask him like, oh, like what do you think? Should I? And he doesn't really like know what I need to be adding, but I'll ask him, what should I add to it? What do you think about this? I just get him involved, so then by the time we sit down and have dinner, he feels like he kind of helped make it, so he gets excited about it.
That's sweet. I love that idea.
Yeah, and it's fun and it gets them involved. And another way that I feel like I kind of got him to be very, curious with flavors and things is, when I started introducing foods to him, I would see what he liked, and then I would always serve him the things that he liked plus a new item. And then I just slowly started like building like his little list of items that he liked. So whenever and he eats what we eat. And then I always, if I know there's something that he may not like because it's new or it's kind of weird, I'll just make sure to add things that he does like. So then it's kind of a little bit of everything. Yeah, exactly.
I love your approach, and I will probably apply that if I have another, because with Dylan, so this is why I had an issue with the whole food thing, was because before I figured out how to handle my gut and my allergy issues. That's essentially why I went full blown holistic. Cause I was like, I need to end this cycle. Like there has to be a way to heal from all of this. Right. Which is why I went this route. Since I had so many allergies at the time that weren't resolved yet, before I discovered like basically the secret to all this, I was like, well, shoot, if I was highly allergic, I'm nervous that he's gonna be highly allergic. So because I was so scared, I was like, I'm really scared for him because I don't want him to like break out or it was just a very like walking on eggshells time. So that's it with him. What the things he did like that technically I was allergic to, great. He used to eat a lot of strawberries, raspberry. What else did he eat? I'm trying to remember. But basically things like that. And he would eat a lot of it. But when I would try and give him something else along the lines of like avocado but see, at that time I had sensitivity to avocado. So when he wouldn't eat it, a lot of our stuff would go to waste. So I'm like, I was like,
I get it.
I was like, okay, if I keep buying like all this fresh produce and all these things and he doesn't want it, I wish I could eat it so I don't feel like it's a waste. But since I couldn't, I was like, maybe I should dial it down because I'm buying all this and he's just rejecting it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened on for our situation. But I know it's never too late. Like I know if I just keep, expanding, like showing him new things and just kind of, letting him lead the way on like what he likes. So we're working on it,
No, totally. There's always time. And I can totally like, I see what you mean. Like dealing with all the allergies and sensitivities, like it makes it hard. Like, fortunately I don't really have any serious allergies, so I can pretty much like make everything. But, there are things that I try to avoid because, after I had my son, I developed really bad acne. So I've consulted with dermatologists, and I went to my Chinese doctor, and a lot of the common items that they say to try to avoid are sugars and dairy. And I'm just kind of throwing gluten in the mix as well, because just
we already know it's
inflammation. It's just inflammatory. So I try to avoid using those ingredients, but he still has once in a while the dairy and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
So because I was trying to balance it, even though we don't have it at home, when we go out or if we go to my parents or if we go to like a friend's house, he's free to eat whatever he likes.
Right. And so I'm assuming that's what inspired you to do the gluten-free and the dairy-free aspect to your recipes.
Yes, because it was something that I can enjoy, and also because I just know so many people that have sensitivities to dairy, gluten, and things like that. So I just wanted to make, a recipe book that was inclusive, and it's also super simple to substitute. If you don't want to do the plant-based cheese, you can just replace it with normal cheddar cheese, the same amount, but you can just replace it with whatever you like.
Yeah.
And something that I also included in my book was like brand recommendations. So
Okay.
each recipe has like a little spot that says recipes or brands in this recipe, and I'll
Mm,
name the brands that I used in that recipe so people can, they a little guidance to,
that's so
so they know
helpful.
what to go buy. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
think, okay, like a vegan cheese, holy moly,
You're just
which
like,
one do I
where?
buy? Right?
Yeah.
And there's so many brands, and a lot of them are not that good. Like they're
Yeah.
really not. So I found a really good brand that I loved, that I really loved using throughout my book.
Yeah.
And same with like the grain-free tortillas, because it is like a
Yeah.
Mexican inspired recipe book. So there's a lot
Oh,
of, it's all about tacos, burritos,
yes. I
flautas,
love
and
tacos so much.
oh, so good. And I
Yeah.
was super fortunate to have Siete Foods. I don't know if you know that brand, Siete.
I'm pretty sure I've had it because
Yeah.
I have a half sister who's
Hmm.
Mexican, and then my son's father, he's half Mexican, so I'm very
Okay.
familiar with different
Yeah, they're an
but,
amazing brand. They're a family-owned business. They're in Texas, I believe. They and they offer gluten-free, grain-free tortillas,
mm,
chips. They make dairy-free like queso dips. They have hot sauces.
oh,
Well, they were kind enough to like sponsor a bunch of the products that I got to use in my recipe book. So they
yay!
pretty much like supplied me with like everything that I needed. I got chips, I got the tortillas, I got the hot sauces, their taco seasoning. I cannot
That's
recommend their taco seasoning like
amazing.
enough. It's so good. So yeah, they sent me a bunch,
Wow,
like 2 boxes. They're so sweet.
that's
And
so cool. Love that.
yeah, so they got to I got the little head start with all the things for my ebook. So they're like one of the main brands that I recommend in the recipe book. It wasn't paid or anything. It was just super generous for them to gift me all those
Yeah.
things. And so
Well,
yes,
yeah.
Siete Foods is the best. Love them so much.
Oh, and I mean, they're going to get a lot of business from this because obviously, if you're recommending that these are the
Hmm.
items you should be using to make these recipes, absolutely, it goes hand in hand. So I
Yeah,
will be
I
buying
hope so.
them
I
as
hope more
well.
people. Yes, definitely. I like. Oh, they're like the only brand of like chips and tortillas and like any like Taco Tuesday like supplies that you need. Like Siete is the way to go for
Oh,
sure.
see, and I love that because I know for most, the reason why the transition to gluten-free, dairy-free is so hard
Hmm.
is because they're so used to just getting what's at the store or, this is what they've
Uh-huh.
always used. And it's like, but when you can, substitute. And I've gotten really good at that, like over time, especially because I was like, there's a reason why like the main brands at the store are, there's
Hmm.
recalls, there's like all these
Yeah,
things going on. It just created for me like a mentality of like I don't trust these brands. Like growing up with them, we
exactly.
didn't know what was in them, and I'll be
Hmm.
darned if I keep giving that to my family and then something happens. Like I just don't want that. So I think
Exactly.
it's so awesome when you can just be like, you know what? Yes, I grew up on these brands and that, but now that I, am more aware of what's in food and how it affects your health, and if you have little kids, like it's just best to
Hmm.
start it off on a strong foot and just give them the like you don't have to like for your ebook it's Mexican inspired food. You didn't
Hmm.
cut out Mexican food altogether just because most of it had dairy and gluten. You said no, I'm going to
Exactly.
create recipes that are still going to be bomb, but you just don't
There
have
are
to.
alternatives. Hmm.
Yes, I love
Absolutely.
that.
And for me, the trickiest part was the dairy, making things
Mm.
dairy free, because I love cheese. Like I'm like Oprah when
Yeah,
she was like, I love bread, I love cheese, like
cheese,
mac and
yeah.
cheese, pizza, like
I'm a
you
sucker
name
for
it,
cheese
I
too.
love it.
I get
I
it.
love cheese, but it's
Yeah,
just, it's just not really good for me. It doesn't mean that
yeah,
I'm not completely dairy free. Like, that's one thing that I kind of love to tell people, or like I like to express, is that I don't really label myself as anything. I'm not vegetarian, I'm not vegan, I'm not paleo, gluten free, dairy free.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
label myself as anything.
You just do it in
I love to
moderation.
I do moderation. It's like, yeah, now I do need to focus on more, sugar free, dairy free, for my skin, because I do have something that's going on.
Hmm.
But, tomorrow we're planning to, order a pizza, and we're going to do like a little family, dinner outside. We're going to make s'mores. But that's,
Oh,
like the once in a while. And then
yeah,
all the other times, I'm making sure that I cook healthy and clean.
yeah.
But it's all a balance. It's, no labels, no restrictions. Not forcing myself to live a certain lifestyle. Because I've done that before and it just kind of always backfires for me personally. It just doesn't really work.
Because then you feel so restricted and like that pressure. Right.
Exactly. It's kind of like that diet mentality that can, it's a very slippery slope if you're not careful. So, but it has been fun at the same time exploring, creating recipes that are dairy-free because it's challenging. And one of my favorite recipes in the ebook is my dairy-free queso dip, which I didn't think was possible, but I did it. It's like amazing.
Oh my gosh.
When I made it, I was like, I can't believe I like pulled this off. Like I literally had like no faith that I was going to be able to make like a really good queso dip because it's like literally like it's cheese dip. And how am I going to make like a vegan or like, a dairy-free like cheese dip? But with I did it.
With the same consistency and everything.
Exactly. And it was the brand that I used, Miyoko's Creamery is a plant-based like cheese brand. They have grated cheeses, sliced cheese. They do cream cheese. And I use their brand because I really, really love the flavor of their cheeses, air quotes. And it's like I was able to make a delicious queso dip with their brand.
Oh my gosh,
and you can use it as a dip with just with chips. I have put it on nachos. I'm actually going to be making a healthified Crunchwrap Supreme, like the ones that you would get at Taco Bell. So I'm going to be using
way. Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be in the book, and I'm going to use like the homemade dairy-free queso dip in there as well. So yeah, I'm super excited about that one. So good.
Yeah, because I swear, like almost everyone that is not familiar with doing the alternative things, they think, well, if I can't have it the original way, I can't have it at all. And I'm like, no, you actually can. So this is just, to me, I'm just getting so excited for your book.
Oh my gosh, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. The one thing that I haven't really been able to do just yet is pizza. I think I just need to I haven't tried with the Miyoko's brand. I tried a different brand for my pizza and it just didn't really turn out good. So I need to keep trying, and I'm really hoping to make a really delicious gluten-free, dairy-free pizza. I believe it's possible.
See, at this point, it's like, can you just open your own restaurant with all this stuff?
Oh my gosh. Like seriously. A little pop-up restaurant would be so much fun to do.
A food truck? I mean, you're in LA area. Like you could dominate with this type of food because everyone's trying to be more health conscious. And I mean, I love that people are more aware of like what's going on with, our food and their health. So, I mean, that would just, you would kill it with that.
That would be so fun. Oh my gosh. I would love that. Like, for now, like my goal for like this year and next year is just to keep creating recipe books. And ebooks for now, but eventually one day I would love to have like a physical, like tangible, like cookbook that you could hold. Like, oh my gosh, that is like the ultimate dream. I would absolutely love that.
Well, a funny thing. So I co-authored a book and I have an amazing publisher who works with people. God. Yeah. And I'm telling you, she's so easy to work with. And she because I'm not a writer. I can't sit here and be like, yes, I write books all day. Like, no, that's not. So like, I already had like the kind of like anxious feeling of, oh my gosh, how am I going to pull this off? Like writing anything like that. So I mean, I have a connect if you want to get with
girl
a paperback book or a hardcover book on Amazon. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll definitely be talking to you because that's definitely like one of my like biggest goals is to have a cookbook published.
I could see it already. Like it would just do amazing on top of all of that. And I was just thinking too, oh my gosh, I had a thought and it completely slipped my mind. But yeah, I'm just so excited. Oh no, now I remember. So have you tried doing like any alternative method of making a pupusa?
No, I don't even think I've had the original one.
You haven't had a pupusa before?
No, what is that?
Stop. Oh my gosh.
I've heard of it, but I can't like picture it.
Okay, so it's an El Salvadorian dish, and it's basically like, I'm trying to think of it. So it has like the masa on the outside, and then the inside you can put whatever you want. You can put bean and cheese. You can do they call it, I know it's like cheese and pork. Like they have all different types of like, I guess like types or flavors, but they're all like in this round thing. It kind of looks like kind of like a Crunchwrap Supreme where it's just flat. And then, and then you don't really know like where it opens or ends. It's just round and solid. So round and flat. Yeah. But it's so good. Like, and so I'm just thinking that's one of the things I would just love if they just did, you know, there's an alternative method to having that. Cause those are like a guilty treat. Like you could just eat.
Ooh, I'll have to look into that. I'm actually making a list of like items. I've been like talking to, you know, some friends and some people, and like I always love asking like, what is like one of your favorite dishes that you would love to have like healthified? And one of this girl that I'm friends with on Instagram, she's so cute. Her name's Zoe. We did an Instagram live a couple weeks ago, and we cooked together. So I did like a little cook along, and through talking, we did vegan burritos because she's vegan. Or vegan tacos, and then just like through talking, we were talking about like recipes of, you know, how we can make them vegan or more healthy, and she mentioned stroganoff because her husband loves stroganoff, and that is one of my favorite dishes. I only make it twice a year because it's super like it's just like a bomb in your stomach, but it's so good. No, it's just like it's cream, it's heavy cream, sour cream, beef, bacon. Oh, geez, and it's just like and then with like egg noodles, so it's like super heavy. But I only make it twice a year. I make it for my husband's birthday, and I make it for Christmas morning or Christmas Day.
He already knows when it's that time. It's like time to celebrate. Oh yeah.
So it's a super special dish that I've been wanting to make a healthier version, just so I can have it a little bit more often. So I need to try to find a way to make like a dairy-free version. And I want to make both like a meat version, but then I also want to make like a plant-based version with just like, because I do like the beef stroganoff with mushrooms. So I could do like a beef one, and then I could do one with just the mushrooms. So that's something that I'm going to play around with. But I'll also look into the one that you mentioned and see if I can kind of
the pupusas. Oh man.
Yeah.
Please let me know.
That sounds super good.
Like it just, oh my gosh. I know so many people would, because I've never heard of like a healthified version of pupusa. Like everyone just eats like the reg. So, I mean, that's like I said, that's one of the only things I cheat with because I can't help it. It's way too good.
It sounds amazing. I'm going to have to go to I'm sure there's like a place in LA that I could go to try it just so I can get like the feel of it. Yes. And then I can kind of like maybe plan to create like a healthier version. But sometimes you just gotta enjoy the real thing,
the original,
you know? Like I was saying, like pizza, like I've tried to do like the dairy-free pizza, and it's just like I just love pizza. It's my favorite food. So sometimes you just gotta leave it alone. You just gotta leave it alone and enjoy it once in a while.
Leave a little. It's okay. No worries.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So your gift of cooking, were you just like self-taught, or did you go to a culinary school or anything like that?
I pretty much just taught myself. I come from a family of amateur chefs, or just people who love the kitchen. My mom's mom, my grandma, she was always the cook. And we would always, spend Christmas Eve at their house, and amazing cook. She made the most delicious things. My dad's dad also liked the kitchen. But growing up, both my parents cooked, actually. My mom, I always remember my mom cooking growing up. And as I got a little bit older, my dad started kind of playing around in the kitchen. He was always like the barbecue guy. He would always, do the asados, because we're from South America. We're from Chile. Oh, okay. So we, a lot of asado and just the meat. It's like a big thing in our culture and in our family. But around 2001, I think it was, we had moved back to the States because I was born here and then my parents took us back to Chile for about 7-8 years. And then we came back to the States in 2001. So then my dad started kind of like getting in the kitchen and started cooking. And so just watching my parents always, make homemade foods for us. We were never like the kind of family that would go out to eat. We couldn't really afford to go out to eat. So it was just more economical for us to just make our own food. But I think that really solidified a really good foundation for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18, 19, I remember the first like few months in like living out of the house. Literally, I was eating like a trash can, like garbage. Like it was just the worst because it was exciting. You know, I was living on my own. I had moved in with my boyfriend now. He's now my husband. But you know, we had moved out together, but also my sister and her boyfriend at the time were at the same house, and a friend of ours. So it was 5 of us in this house, and we would just it was just frozen foods, boxed foods, and like cereal. And that was pretty much like our diet. And I was I reached a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And
I think we all go through that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know, 19, it's like you can literally eat anything.
Right.
But I started, you know, thinking, okay, like this isn't good. Like we're, you know, growing up eating pretty healthy. I looked at my sister and I was like, nah, we got to start cooking. So just started playing around. And then one day I decided to become vegetarian, just like super randomly. I was just like, I'm going to stop eating meat. And I actually was vegetarian for 2 years.
Wow.
And that is kind of when it all kind of clicked for me, was when I became vegetarian. I had to get creative because the only thing I knew how to make was just like super simple, like meat, rice, veggies, you know, or pasta.
Right.
So becoming vegetarian really kind of got me more interested in the kitchen, because I didn't want to just eat pasta all the time, because it's very easy to be unhealthy without eating the meat, because it gets a little difficult sometimes.
Right.
And that's actually the same time that I started my first food blog.
Okay.
And just practicing. I just, you know, I cooked dinner every day. I started getting creative, you know, going on Pinterest or other food blogs for ideas.
Right.
And just, you know, just cooking all the time. And I just, you know, picked up new skills, playing around with spices. I love using spices, and that's something that kind of takes a little bit of time, because, you know, my husband sometimes thinks like, how do you know how much to put or what to use? And it's gotten to the point where I can literally just kind of like close my eyes, imagine like a flavor that I want. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this, and that. And it's just trial and error, you know, following recipes for inspiration, or just sometimes making mistakes and making things that don't taste so good. And then you learn. But yeah, just pretty much self-taught, just because I love it. And then that's when I realized how much I love cooking. It's just, it's almost therapeutic for me. And then as I got, you know, better with the blogging, and I started using Instagram, my photography started getting a lot better. And, you know, so now it just sort of became like an art form, like an expression, like an art expression for me. So it's been like about almost like a decade since I kind of started cooking. So it's been work in progress, but it's been really, really fun.
No, it sounds like this is just your thing. Like this, you're just unnatural at this, because like then you become you've just mastered, to me, you've mastered like how, you know, the fact that you can just sit there, visualize, you know, what you want to taste like, and know how much to put. Because even my mom's like that. I remember when I asked her, like, how do you make this? Because being Filipino, you know, the recipes are very complex as well, especially with all the different components that go in there. So I'll be like, oh, how much of this did you put? And she'd be like, oh, I don't know, I just put it. And I'm like, what? Like, and I'm very much the type, like, I need like, you know, exact measurements, because I want to make sure I'm following something. So I guess for me, like, my biggest goal when it comes to cooking is like being more comfortable, like not being so afraid, like if it turns out perfect or not. And I think that's what it is for me. So, but I'm hoping as I try new cookbooks and things, it'll help me kind of break out of my shell a little bit and be more comfortable doing that.
No, absolutely. And I really have kind of like hit a point where I, you know, whenever I'm like publishing a recipe, I really try to keep, you know, you in mind, you know, because my husband's the same way, my sister's the same way, and I love to make things really, really simple. And, you know, sometimes I'll put like, I've started to put like like in the ebook, I have like measurements of like the spices, like half a teaspoon of salt or a quarter teaspoon of this, you know. I'm a lot more like calculated with everything. But a lot of the times, you know, like if I post just like on my blog or on Instagram, sometimes I'll just put like to taste, you know, because you start slow and then you grow from there. And cooking is a lot more forgiving than people think it is, I feel.
Right.
Baking, on the other hand, is more complicated because you can easily mess that up. And I'm not a baker.
I'm a baker.
I feel like you're either a baker or you're a cook. It's like one or the other. And
It's true.
My husband and my sister, like, they love to bake, and I don't like it. It's just too many rules almost, because I know that I have to follow the recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like to go with the flow and just like,
yeah.
And I messed up cookies one time. I forgot the flour, like straight up, I forgot the flour. And I was like, why is this so
difficult?
bad? Like, why does this look so weird? And then I'm like looking at it, and then my husband looks at me, he's like, did you put flour in it? I'll go, oh, no, I forgot the flour. So
yeah.
I'm not a baker. I try once in a while, but I'm more of a cook. But yeah, cooking is actually pretty forgiving. The only thing I would say is always go easy on the things that are very, very strong, such as salt.
Yes, definitely.
Go easy on the salt, or anything spicy, of course. Like, go easy on the spicy. But other than that, it's pretty forgiving, and it gives you a lot of room to play with.
That's good to know, because I definitely, especially once I start cooking your recipes, once I get your book, I'll feel a lot better knowing that. Because I think that's another aspect of it. It's like, okay, there's like so many different things. It can be overwhelming, but the fact that you're simplifying it as much as possible to make it easier for like people like me that are more comfortable with other types of cooking, baking for me, it would just make it a lot easier. So that's cool. At least
so much better, because I also don't like seeing like a recipe that like there's literally like 20 ingredients on there, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be like the most expensive dish, and it's always like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you have to buy like all of those things, like the full size product to make this one dish. Just so I always try to keep everything very simple. I have like just like a free guide that I have on my website, where it's like my pantry essentials, pantry and spice list. And it just has like a list of things that I always like to keep handy. So that really helps, whenever like you're cooking something and, you just know that you have those basics on hand.
Well, I mean, for me, I was just thinking too, like in the future, would you be interested in doing like YouTube videos, like cooking videos, just to kind of show like, I guess like the process? I know you have your books and this one coming out, but it would be so cool to like see it live, like in the making one day.
I've always wanted to do like a cooking show, like on YouTube. That's something that I would definitely love to do. What I started doing, which I mentioned earlier, which I've only done one, is the IG Live.
Yeah, the cook along.
Like the little cook along. So I want to do more of those. I think those were super, super fun. But I've also considered just doing like cooking lessons for people.
Yes. People totally do that during COVID too. Yes.
Right? When quarantine, because a lot of people are home. A lot of people don't want to be going out to restaurants. And I just thought it would be so fun just to like hop on a Zoom call with somebody, pour a glass of wine, and just like hang out for like an hour, and then just walk you through like a really simple recipe that the whole family is gonna love. So that's something that I would love to do it. Honestly, I need to it's an idea that I have, and I just kind of want to offer it and see how people kind of respond to that, and see if they like it. Just try it out with a handful of people and see how it goes. But I think that would be super fun to do, and I think it'd be super helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
I've done it with like my sister, like unintentionally, like unplanned. Like she'll just like call me, like FaceTime me, and she'll be like, hey, I need help, and she just like props me up in her kitchen, and I'm just like hanging out with her, and then I'm like, put this in there, put that in there, and I just kind of like walk her through it. But I think like an interactive like Zoom cooking lesson would be super fun to do. So I definitely want to experiment with that. And just that one-on-one connection is really nice too.
Yeah. Like I'm totally envisioning, see, this is like the business mindset for myself. It's like, I'm totally envisioning like, okay, someone is interested in, in doing like a live like cooking experience with you. That person already has all the ingredients ready, and then you guys are both on the same page. So come the time of the call, you just cook together and that's it. Like
exactly.
I think it would appeal to so many people right now, because I mean, think about it, because I know like as COVID keeps prolonging, people are getting, not as motivated, or they're eating out more than they should. That's why they call it quarantine 15 right now, where people are gaining 15 pounds during COVID, because they're not, it's just kind of like the times are just weird. So I think that would just be a cool, because I haven't seen that anywhere, like where people are offering live cooking lessons.
I think it'd be really fun. I just, because I saw somebody had posted on Instagram that they were doing like a Zoom like sushi lesson, and sushi's like
Ooh.
pretty complicated in my opinion.
Make, yes. I'll do a
But
sushi bake, but I won't do like the rolls. Like that's a little
right,
bit
they were full
complex.
on rolls. So I'm like, okay, so it's like a thing. I haven't seen a lot of it. That was literally the only time I ever heard of it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what, that would be kind of fun. So maybe, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun. Like maybe people who like purchase the ebook, you know, I can maybe like put a spot in like in the book saying like, hey, like if you're interested in like a little cooking lesson, like we can make one of these recipes together.
Yes.
Or I can just talk to the person and be like, hey, like what do you want to do? I'll come
Yeah.
up with a recipe for it and we'll just make it.
Okay, we're gonna schedule a time after this.
Yes, let's do it.
So cool.
Honestly, I'm super down to just like give this a shot and just kind of like experiment with it. And
Yeah.
I think, let's do it.
Sounds great. Cause yeah, I want to do more in the kitchen, especially just explore outside of my, you know, my normal dishes, and hopefully it'll do the same thing for my son where he'll want to eat more. Cause it's funny. He says, so we'll ask him like, cause he's three things. He's Mexican and Caucasian and Asian, being Filipino. And so we'll ask him, oh, are you Mexican? And he proudly says all of them. He's like, I'm Mexican or I'm Filipino. And so like, I know it'd be so cool for him to try like more dishes from his, you know, from his heritage. So and then a clean version at that, you know, would be great. Cause he already likes Spanish rice. So it's like, okay, we got somewhere, but the boy loves the carbs. So it's like, it's either like the rice or the pasta, fries or
same.
So totally. Oh my gosh. But okay, I'm so excited because now this is just sparking like the foodie in me that just loves trying new things. And I mean, so be at home more, that's fine. So same thing.
I love it. I'm like all antsy now. Like I'm brainstorming like ideas. I'm like, because I love playing around on Canva. Like I love making like graphics. So I'm like, I'm gonna make like a little poster for this and poster for that. I'm already like going through the whole thing in my head.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
No, we'll definitely schedule a day and do like a little like a private cooking lesson.
For sure. And then I'll post about, you know, after the experience and everything. And I'm sure so many people would be so down to do the same thing. So,
ooh, awesome. How fun.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, I love that we got to chat today and connecting with you. I love the digital world for this reason, seriously. But yeah, so tell our audience on where they can find you online and the date for your book that's coming out so they can stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my book, it's titled Let's Taco About It. Kind of like the play on words, let's talk about it, but taco. And that is coming out on Wednesday, September 30th. So that is next week. And you can find me online. My website is girlappetit.com, like Bon Appetit, but it's girlappetit, APPETIT.com. And same with my Instagram. You can find me at Girl Appetit. And I have a Pinterest, I have a YouTube, but it's, you know, I'm mostly on my website and on Instagram for sure. You can definitely connect with me on Instagram. I'm always using the app. So yeah, I'm excited to connect with everybody. Thank you again so much for having me. This was super, super fun. I really, really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm telling you, like these interviews like light up my day. Like I look forward to these so badly. I'm like, I wish I could do this every single day. Like this would be so great. But yes, so everyone just stay tuned. I'll have all of our links in the description and show notes and in our podcast insiders group where you can say hi. If you want to see if you can have a cooking lesson with Dani, go for it. Just ask her. I'm sure she'll be down to do it. So yeah, so thank you all again and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.